Thomas Jefferson will forever be remembered as one of the nation's founding fathers and one of the most famous people in American history, if not world history. His contributions to the early republic cannot be overstated or ignored. He was a brilliant writer and the main author of the Declaration of Independence, which is probably the second most important document in our nation's history, following the Constitution. He was a proponent of freedom of religion and wrote the Virginia Statute for religious freedom. He was the first Secretary of State in George Washington's cabinet, and he was the third President of the United States. Though he has countless accomplishments for which he should be praised and remembered, many people are often quick to point out his inconsistencies between word and action. John Hersey poses this query in Thomas Jefferson, Word and Deed. Whereas some say that Jefferson was a man of reason and the pen of the Revolution, others say he was a walking contradiction who wrote powerful words but didn't practice his alleged principles. Should Jefferson be placed on a pedestal? Should statues of the man be torn down like those of George III? How should this founder be remembered? And though the man had his faults and may not have held true to his beliefs as fervently as one would hope, a noted instance of this is the fact that he owned slaves while also writing against slavery, the man's accomplishments have left him a legacy that shows how important he was to the founding of this country. And that is what I will focus on in this video. The first and possibly biggest part of his legacy was his authorship of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson was on a committee of 5 people enlisted with writing the document, but it was Thomas that was trusted to write the first draft. John Hersey also notes that John Adams approached Jefferson to explain why he should write the Declaration. And it goes like this. Reason first, you are a Virginian, and a Virginian ought to appear at the head of this business. Reason second, I am obnoxious, suspected, and unpopular. You are very much otherwise. Reason third, you can write 10 times better than I can. Say what you will of Adams, but the man knew his strengths and weaknesses. This document, espousing individual and unalienable rights, changed the course of history. The famous words, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." But the document didn't stop there, because it then explained that men make governments to protect and guarantee those rights, and that if the government fails to do these things, that it is to be abolished and replaced, which is exactly what the Americans did with the following war. This document, these words, gave the American troops a collective goal, one to be banded together and fought for. And it was Jefferson's words that so eloquently led them to this occasion. The Declaration of Independence was one of the first official steps leading to revolution and changing the course of history by seeing the beginnings of what would become the greatest country in the history of the world. Though Jefferson was a Christian, to what extent is up for debate. Was it nominally or fervently? Regardless, Jefferson did not let his faith influence him too greatly when it came to what he believed was the good of the nation. In 1777, Jefferson wrote the Virginia Statute for religious freedom. This document made it so that the Church of England was no longer the official church and allowed religious freedoms to all its residents. As John Ragosta explains in Religious Freedom, Jefferson's Legacy, America's Creed, not only does the statute provide a ringing endorsement of religious liberty, but Jefferson understood that freeing the human mind from the tyranny of religious oppression, in which church/state cooperation played a central role, would be essential to the growth of the Republic and the principles enunciated in the Declaration. Jefferson understood that the government having the power to say which religion could and could not be practiced only opened a door to tyranny. The beliefs found in the statute would be important precursors to the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. So as you can see, Jefferson has already had an impact, either directly or indirectly, on the two most important documents in American history. These are just two of Jefferson's many accomplishments, two that left profound legacies. He also served as George Washington's Secretary of State, where he served the revered general well for the most part, if not for the exception of his fascination with the French and their revolution. He served as our nation's third president, and during this time saw accomplishments like the Louisiana Purchase, which doubled the size of our country, and then initiated the Lewis and Clark expedition to explore the new land. He founded one of my favorite schools, the University of Virginia, which is only a short hour-long drive from my home in Lynchburg, and is beautiful. Everyone should visit it at some point. And was even a self-taught horticulturalist, which I am personally impressed and interested by because I am currently a landscape technician. Despite his long list of accomplishments, I focus on his work with the Declaration of Independence and the Virginia Statute for religious freedom because I believe that without those works and the rest of his legacy may have never had the same meaning as it did because of the groundwork that those two documents laid. History has proven that man was not perfect, and yet no one is. But what cannot be argued is the impact that he had on this country. Also, in my research, I found out that he popularized mac and cheese in America, and for that, we thank you, Thomas.